In Liberia, for thousands and thousands of students, there's one exam that basically decides their future. It's called the WASI. But what happens when the result of this life-changing test is, well, a complete mystery? We're going to break down a system where the answers are kept secret, not just from the students, but pretty much from everyone.
Okay, just imagine this for a second. You have spent years preparing for this day. Your family has sacrificed so much. Your entire future, everything you've worked for is riding on this one test. The results are finally out, you find your name on the list, and right next to it is just a single word.
And that's it. Seriously. No score, no breakdown of what you got right or wrong, no explanation at all. Just a label. You have no idea if you failed by 1 point or 100 points. You can't see where you were strong or where you went wrong. All you're left with is that one absolutely crushing word.
And here's the thing that's so hard to wrap your head around. This isn't some mistake or a glitch in the system. It's how the system is designed to work. The whole process is basically a black box, and it's built to leave students completely in the dark.
Think about it. At its heart, learning is all about feedback, right? You try something, you see how you did, you learn from it, and you improve. But when that feedback is completely missing, the whole cycle just collapses. How can a student possibly learn from their mistakes if they're not even told what they are? How are teachers supposed to know what to focus on? Without that data, improvement is basically impossible.
So the source for this whole breakdown comes from Charles W. Yormy, and his perspective is so important here. He's a student of education management, and he argues that this system isn't just unfair, it actually defeats the whole purpose of education. His point is really simple. This level of uncertainty, this total lack of information, undermines the very reason we have exams in the first place.
And the damage here, it goes so much deeper than just grades. When a system operates with this much secrecy, it doesn't just confuse students, it creates a huge crisis of confidence. It violates the most basic principles of what a fair and ethical education should be. This comparison just lays it all out so clearly. On the left, you see the basic things you'd expect from any fair exam system. You get a full score breakdown, a clear explanation of the grading, and the right to appeal if you think there's been a mistake. You know, things we probably take for granted. But then, look at the column for WASI Liberia. Every single one of those fundamental checks and balances is just gone. It's not just a different kind of system, it's an incomplete one.
So let's just break down exactly which principles get shattered here. First up, transparency. Obviously gone. But then think about accountability. I mean, if the exam board never has to explain its results, who are they actually responsible to? This also crushes a student's basic right to information and due process. They're denied their own data and have zero recourse to appeal a potential mistake. When you add it all up, it's a system that shows a fundamental lack of respect for the learner.
And this brings us to a really critical point. This isn't just some administrative or ethical problem. This complete lack of feedback actively sabotages the learning process itself. It creates a total dead end for any student who's actually trying to get better. This slide is fascinating because it uses a framework called Bloom's taxonomy to show the damage. See, learning happens in stages. You have to be able to first analyze your results to figure out where your weak spots are. If you can't do that, you can't evaluate your own performance. And if you can't evaluate, there is no way you can apply what you've learned to do better next time. The entire learning process just gets stuck right at the starting line. The source material uses this really powerful term to describe the emotional fallout of all this, misfeelings, and you can see why. For students, it's just a toxic mix of confusion, frustration, anxiety, and this deep, nagging sense of injustice. And for parents, it's complete distrust in the system, emotional disappointment, and, of course, the very real financial stress of having to pay for their kid to retake the exam, without even knowing what went wrong the first time.
But here's the good news. This analysis doesn't just point out the problems. It actually offers a way forward. The author lays out a clear, practical blueprint for a much better system, one built from the ground up on transparency and fairness. And this quote really gets to the heart of his proposal. It's this core belief that good education management isn't just about paperwork and logistics. No, it's about actively building systems that guarantee quality and hold people accountable. It's about taking responsibility for making education fair for everyone. So what does this blueprint for change actually look like? Well, it's a 6-step plan, and it's pretty straightforward. The first 3 steps are all about giving students access to information. Provide full score breakdowns, create a digital system so it's easy to get your results, and, this is a big one, establish an appeal system.
The next few steps are about making the system itself stronger, improve examiner training so grading is consistent, strengthen monitoring and oversight, and finally, engage everybody, students, parents, educators, and get them involved in the process.
Now, this blueprint isn't just some academic thought experiment. It's a direct list of recommendations aimed right at the people who actually have the power to make these changes happen, the policymakers.
And this plan puts the responsibility right where it belongs, squarely on the Ministry of Education. The recommendations couldn't be clearer. You need to enforce transparency policies, establish official systems for appeals, actively monitor what's going on, and above all, protect a student's basic, fundamental right to get information about their own performance.
And that really brings us to the final, central question of this whole case study. An exam, an assessment, it's supposed to be a tool for learning. It should be like a mirror that shows you where you stand and how you can get better. But if an exam doesn't do that, what's the point? What is it even for?